it's like the thumbnails feel like a letdown. And I'm going to be honest, I didn't say it, but that other person may have said that they were hot garbage.
So yeah, I've never changed my thumbnails. That is a thumbnail on the first day that I made my first YouTube video with 1 subscriber in 2019. Back then I didn't know how to make YouTube videos. I followed principles of design, but not what's good for YouTube. I didn't treat it like advertising, which is what the thumbnail is. I treated it like a cover of a book or something. But so basically you guys kind of like tricking me going like, okay, I should do something about this.
Okay, Paige, if he ever sees this, I think, first of all, I said earlier in this video, my thumbnails are trash. So who am I to talk about thumbnails? But I think the red and black doesn't jump out so much. Because that's the only explanation I can come to as to why this channel is not way bigger than it is.
I've been thinking for a while that what I could do is a bit of an experiment where I just go hard at every sort of clickbait I could think of, or just throw everything at the wall and just see what works, you know? And then at the end of the period, have a look at the traffic, because I'll be able to measure, you know, relatively, like, did the video go up, did the video go down? And then maybe I'll learn something. I went and put out a message to all the people on Patreon, all the people on YouTube. I jumped on Fiverr. I basically just like harvested thumbnails from a community, and I have now got a complete collection of all of my videos with different thumbnails, which I was hoping I could present to you guys today and, you know, just get a little bit of feedback on.
I'm going to come in hot for the rest of the video here, Paige.
Okay, so here's the first thumbnail on a grain silo in Old Port, Montreal, and this is the thumbnail.
Yeah, it's better, I think. And cursed is a good word.
I definitely like the inclusion of the word Montreal. It's kind of desaturated to me. It looks like it could use like a splash of color to make it pop more.
Bump up the contrast and decrease the saturation so it looks like haunted, or
maybe put a ghost emoji, you know.
Oh, we got some emojis coming up, guys, don't worry. So this one's on stuff that was invented in Quebec. It was the second video I did. This is the new thumbnail. Thoughts?
You had a woman in lingerie in the previous photo, so that is definitely, like, total clickbait would just be like kind of scandalous image and then say Canadian ? Or something. So like you could totally have like a legendary tier clickbait if you wanted to. But I also like peanut butter, so I'm not complaining.
I'm not like visually all that attracted to it. I also hate peanut butter. But I appreciate the interpretive direction they've gone, and, you know, including some color, and, you know, China is involved somehow.
Yeah, you know, China, just some extra, you know, maybe it's communist or something. So this is the next one. Some of the effect that the Lachine Canal had on Montreal's industrial development. And here is the new one. Got our first O-face going.
I think it's cool. I think it's got flavor. It's kind of closer to the feeling of your videos, if that makes sense, because your videos, you know, they do get historical. They obviously they're well researched, but there's also like a certain goofiness to them, and I think somehow this gets both of those across.
Do you guys like this particular YouTuber face, or do you think maybe I should open my mouth more?
I think you should be like shocked. Like, this is more like this. This is not a face. I don't know if this is a face of shock. It's a face of something, but
yeah, I mean, I really like that they implied that a ship got stuck sideways in the Lachine Canal at some point. It's kind of topical.
Like a collection. Did you give people a collection of shocked faces to choose from for this assignment?
I gave Reece a shocked face, and I gave this one designer a shocked face because the Fiverr upload button required something to be uploaded. So I dumped a shocked face in there, and lo and behold, it showed up on the thumbnail. This is a 3-part series on renting. This one's on finding and signing, so it's the first one. This is what I got.
Well, first of all, the text really jumps out. So the text looks great. Finding a place to start to... Wait. Finding a place to live, starting to rent. So that got more weird as I actually tried to read it. But my first impression was good.
It's technically excellent, but then the second you start to look at it, you're like, holy shit, there's a lot of holes in this. Like, why are you making that face?
Fiverr is quite popular with people from countries that don't speak English as a first language. So we got a fair amount of interesting grammatical choices, let's say. So this one is my like flagship video or something. How to live in Montreal as an Anglophone video that a lot of people come into my channel through. And this is what I got for that.
Wait, is that me in the back? Am I like the token Anglo in Montreal at this point? That's kind of scary.
This is the creators of Urbanity. Can you walk us through kind of what you're thinking here?
So we thought it needed more kind of in your face, like you telling people how to do it, how to find themselves.
This is how it's going to be.
Like this?
Yeah.
I got a little hooked finger.
Tried to get the right frame for that, but it didn't quite work.
Do I just not point enough? Yeah.
I mean, we don't really think it's that great of a thumbnail, but it gives a better idea of kind of your videos and like how they're produced, how you play with the pictures in the back often by putting other videos on them and stuff.
And there are folding bikes.
You're just advertising your channel.
Actually selling out real estate in your thumbnails. I had to pay for that little square.
I've kind of got Paige Saunders with an exclamation mark just up the top left corner there. Because it's a little strange to have that on my own video.
So we have an exclamation mark after our name, so we decided to share that with you.
That's the moneymaker.
Yeah, but the name of your channel is an exclamation. You're teasing the over humanity thing. So for me to just yell my name out, Paige Saunders, is a little... Well, thanks, guys.
Yep, no problem.
All right, next video, why do buildings eat buildings? It's on rubble masonry being used as foundation for other buildings in Old Port. And this is what we got.
Terrible. Just terrible. Huge kudos to anyone who would help Paige fix the mess he's got himself in. This has actually become a downgrade because you don't know, like, it's going to be very small. So you're just seeing 100 years, 200 years, 300 years. It's like impossible to decipher without knowing kind of what the video is about, I think, what it's actually really saying, unless you put a lot of effort in, which is sort of not the point of a thumbnail.
What would you do?
Enhance the original. I think the original, the idea was like pretty solid. It's just got this, usual character flaws of your thumbnails, like the background and the monochromatic look.
Yeah, I think this is like not a... I like this thumbnail.
I mean, you should have given that building eyes, though, because otherwise it's a little odd.
The best thumbnail titles, there's like a value proposition. Like in the next 10 minutes of your life, you're going to learn this, and this is like a compelling way of showing you this. Whereas here, I'm still like, I might click just out of like, oh, this is weird. Like, what's this about? But I don't actually know what I'm getting into yet. I think the previous one is closer. This new one, yeah, it's just too ugly, for lack of a better word.
So this might be less traffic. I mean, I guess we'll see. At the end of the month, I will put all of these up. So,
are you marking the sentiment on each of these?
Yeah, it's called recording this.
It's not exactly scientific, Paige.
Terrible crimes committed to brick. This is a video on how people will paint brick, but it's actually bad for the brick and it causes it to crumble. Property flippers, and they're fucking painted bricks. Why? This, oh my god, a still from the video.
I would say it's an improvement, but only slight, and there's no text on this thumbnail, which is a little problematic in my opinion, and also you have such a good opportunity to use a really powerful word like destroy.
Okay, so I'll kill you if you paint another brick. Is that good, Reece?
Well,
this thumbnail and title almost looks like someone who's angry at street graffiti. It's like, stop making things painted. Artists, get out of here.
I mean, in some ways that might work in my favor because people, will think that I'm saying something and then be like, oh no, it's actually something totally different.
Or they'll leave a mean comment and go.
Yeah, you're probably right.
How do you feel about big red arrows?
I feel like there's a few big red arrows coming up, guys.
This one could use a big red arrow pointing right to the middle.
The conversation negotiation on like choosing which language to converse in when you meet someone.
This was done by someone on Fiverr, I'm guessing?
I would definitely click on this thumbnail.
Okay, so I don't know who that is. Maybe it's the guy from Fiverr.
It looks like they're not even necessarily a real person.
It looks like a stock photography person. I just have no idea how they decided that. Obviously, very confusing, but maybe that would be good. I also don't really know why they went with the English flag of England. Like Scotland doesn't speak English.
Well, this is trying to start a war in the comments, right?
So you would click on this?
There's an element where like you see something familiar, like the word Montreal. Like imagine you're a random Montrealer and this pops up like top of your feed. You'd be like, what the heck is this? I'm now clicking on it. So there's an element to which like weirdness can succeed, I think. But then like your brand, you'd be known as the guy with the very confusing thumbnails, which maybe you already are. So I guess that's okay.
There's no way it's staying after a month. Like I'm not gonna have this be a thing which someone who I've asked to collab with sees. And
if it were you doing a face like that, let's say the other side of the thumbnail was if you animated like literally showing the negotiation happening, that could be like a powerful image to get across.
Well, I mean, it's in the video. I have an animated sequence in the video of me animated walking around.
My anus is bleeding.
The gaming industry video.
I like it. The only thing I would say is I would make the doomed way larger. Like, way larger. Because it's sort of like, there's a lot of negative space on it.
So, like, squeeze all the other stuff off and just have doomed?
Not necessarily. I'm just saying doomed should be massive across it or something like that.
I think this is very close to, like, maybe the best thumbnail I've seen today.
Oh, boy. Do you know who's listening to this? The creator of that thumbnail. This is Andrian's contribution. Well done, Andrian. Why does Montreal have short skyscrapers? The video that I made that pisses everyone off.
Not a fan. The original I'm not a huge fan of, and it was one of the first videos of yours I watched. I was giving you the benefit of the doubt. But this one I might even give less benefit of the doubt. It's sometimes I feel like when it requires too much mental energy, it's bad. And this, it's like blocked again. We've got like a silhouette. Like, is it trying to say more than I think it's trying to say? The original one I don't like because of how lo-fi the buildings are, but I think that you had like the right direction generally. This may be inspired a bit by other videos recently, but you could say why the Burj Khalifa could never have been built in Montreal, something like that, you know, to sort of like be really, you know?
I would look closer to home, maybe the CN Tower. Like a video like this, you already have the clicks from the Montreal audience, but Toronto's a huge audience of English speakers who could then find your content. So if you find some way to like reach out to that crowd, maybe like throw in the CN Tower and some recognizable Toronto things, then that could like siphon onto your channel.
That's a great idea. What I think I might do is like, I might not change any of these things for release now, but then at the end of the month when I kind of have the like, so what did I learn? These are the sorts of changes I'd be like, okay, I'm going to try that, I'm going to try that. Renting part 2. Living in the place, getting what you need from the landlord.
It looks like you are the landlord. It's like getting along with the landlord and then Paige.
Also, you're in like this kind of random in-between facial expression that I just don't know about. You're kind of like saying, what the fuck? Like, that's what it looks like, right? Like this and the one earlier with the guy and the English and the French, they give me the same vibe, and it's a vibe that I get from a lot of videos that I don't like, which is this almost over-manufactured, like, and you know, it just almost seems like something that someone was paid to do on Fiverr, basically.
It certainly does feel a lot like something that someone was paid to do on Fiverr. The Great Canadian Food Fight. So this is about like these two large franchise owners who control most of Canadian fast food. Got out the old O-face for this guy. Monopoly on your food. Every restaurant in Canada is owned by 2 companies.
I mean, I'm a big fan. I don't know who could have made this, but
now I'm critiquing Reece, not just the thumbnail, right? Yeah, there's just so much going on in this thumbnail. I need a moment to gather my thoughts. Why don't you let the Urbanity take a shot at it?
Well, technically, I think that would be a duopoly.
Oh, burn.
I don't think I would click on this. Don't really know what I'm looking at.
Okay, I need to say, Paige, you give me a very limited variety of facial
You
expressions.
have fucking hundreds of hours of me ranting about like proportional representation where a building's right height.
I'm not gonna pull something from a video. I need high quality, and so like I'm stuck with the O face. It gives everything the wrong emotion. Okay.
I would just take Paige's face out and I would just show a nice plate of food. Like, you know, people love clicking on food. Like, who doesn't like food? And, you know, Paige, I mean, we like you, but not more than food. So you got to get out of the way of the food.
Where did you get this picture, Reece?
Oh, it was just like a meal I had like a week ago. See, for me, the hilarious thing is when I'm making my thumbnails, I have a ton of pictures of trans and stuff to use. So I could do something good. And for yours, I was like, oh, I just could have shitty pictures of my food that I've taken. And I was like, oh, it should suffice, right? As long as I put Paige's O face on top.
What is the weirdest shop in Montreal? And here's the thumbnail.
I mean, this one is riffing off of another creator to kind of draw people in, right?
This one I don't want to comment on. I'd be curious to see if it's successful.
If Not Just Bike's average subscriber is a person you would like to be watching your content, then it's like it's a good thing. I like the button. Like, just to be honest, like if it were just like a full screen shot of this button on top of the door, I'd be like, what is this? Like, I'll click on this.
I'm sure I read at some point that like one thing that you can put in clickbaity thumbs is like an exaggerated size of a thing. So people are like, that's too big for it. It's not that size. I mean, I'm going to give them credit. I think this is the most clickbaity shop in Montreal. These guys have created clickbait in their signage purely accidentally just by indicating they sell buttons. 5 on Friday's news video on COVID, and this was produced.
You know, it sort of looks like if a very poorly developed artificial intelligence were to create a thumbnail based on your video. Also, again, just this picture of you is you look like you're ready to just fall over and die. Like, look at you. Like, look at your eyes. You're sort of like it looks like you're about to seriously close your eyes and just drop.
But Reece, maybe the joke is that the guy in the thumbnail has COVID-19 and that's why he's looking this way.
I thought that too, but then there's no way.
Next one, the follow-up about how the last video was statistically incorrect because the government hid statistics. They tricked me.
I mean, you're smiling. That's nice.
Yeah, you've gone from lifeless to looking like you're high.
COVID is such a weird thing to talk about. Anything more than a month old is like, oh, we don't care about that anymore.
I think your theory might be right there. One of these videos, if not both of them, are the least clicked videos. Introduction to housing co-ops. Very educational. yeah, I remember this one. Get your forever home with no money down.
I don't think it's bad, but I think that this is such an opportunity to sort of like how Dan suggested with the CN Tower, bringing that in to kind of draw on a different audience. Like,
you want me to put the fucking CN Tower in this?
No, I didn't say that, okay? Settle down. If you live in Canada, you know that housing is incredibly expensive. So it should be something like you with like you with like a trench coat on and like, something hanging down. It's like the solution to affordable housing in Canada or something like that. Or
Paige Saunders, male prostitute.
Okay, that isn't what I suggested.
How am I earning the deposit for this house, Reece?
I think this is probably the worst thumbnail I've seen on this. It's overly designed, but there's no clear theme to it.
My fear when I got this was like, this looks like, I bet there's like Real Estate Tube, which has got millions of creators and they all create things that look like this. Also, no housing cop that exists in the world looks remotely like this nice, detached house.
I mean, you could just make the thumbnail a black background and put introduction to housing co-ops on the thumbnail and it would be an improvement.
Because if you do that, then it's like quite authoritative.
Why don't people know where north is? The Montreal compass mess?
Please tell me you
real?
didn't pay money for this.
No, I opened it up to submissions from people. I think there's any video that I would probably not change the thumbnail. Northern spelt wrong. with a piece of ham is probably... Do you guys think that if I put this up, it would work?
Maybe for a certain mindless audience like dogs or llamas.
Maybe if you name it, why is there ham in this thumbnail?
The fact that that's an improvement sort of tells you everything you need to know about this. I think this one has so much opportunity too, though, because you could literally say everything is a lie in Montreal. That's the direction I would have gone. Not, let's put a piece of mediocre meat on the screen and not even fill the screen properly.
All right. Well, thanks for your feedback on that one. Is Montreal really getting a SkyTrain on the rim in Montreal?
Why is it taking place in hell is the first question. Next, Montreal and SkyTrain are proper nouns. So that's, what are you doing here? So this is obviously must be from Fiverr as well. But also that's not a fucking SkyTrain.
What is it, Reece?
Well, it's in Germany. It's Deutsche Bahn. This is just offensive to anyone who knows about transit.
So they will just lose their shit over this like it's a picture of their deceased relative with me laughing over it, and I just...
That kind of reminds me of the camera gear community on YouTube. People get so into the specs and so into the nitty gritty to a point where it's like none of that actually affects using the gear, but it's the most important things ever to the people making the video.
This and the one with the black dude reacting to two of the wrong flags are the two that I'm going to be kind of God, I can't wait for the month to be over. 5 on Fridays, our first super block. Montreal wants to be Barcelona.
I would take out the 5 on Friday. I would just say Montreal gets North America's first super block. As you're scrolling down, there's so many videos coming at you. What makes you stop? You have a split second to think. And if someone sees the word Montreal at the beginning, that could get them. But 5 on Friday, I watch your channel. I don't really know what that is.
I seem to remember this one in particular. It doesn't really matter that it's just talking about this project that's going on. So why are they tearing up P-Nerf? Transit projects that are currently underway. They got 2 thumbnails for this.
I'd definitely be more likely to click on the one on the right. Good design doesn't always make a good thumbnail. The one on the left, I appreciate what they're doing. Visually, it's kind of nice, but I don't know. The other one is more direct. Montreal Transit projects. Okay, teach me about this. Let's go.
People who like transit and who want to watch a video about transit, for the most part, if it says transit, it's going to get them.
That's so funny you say that about the word transit, because if I'm making a video in Mexico, I have a little Mexican flag in every single thumbnail. And after a while, I'm just this is dumb. This is such a cheap move to get views. But it's kind of effective. First of all, English isn't everyone's first language. They don't even really know what you're talking about, but they know what that flag is about. So you put a word or a symbol that is very basic and it works.
Seems to work for Reece. He's got a much bigger channel than me, and he's got a lot of buses. A lot of buses on that fucker. So Montreal Transit projects, it is funny, the one on the right to me looks so much like an urban planning textbook from 1998, the actual design.
Does, yes.
The one on the left cost $30.
Holy shit.
When do we get the pink line? This is on the future transit projects. So here's another one with 2.
The one on the right looks kind of blurry. Is it just me?
That's the mayor, right?
It's some people in a gondola.
Okay, I thought that was the mayor because she's obviously quite famous. The one on the right looks like it was made by someone who has never used a computer before and they're using Microsoft Paint.
They cracked open Microsoft Word and it was looks like you're trying to create a thumbnail. And they're yep. Have you got a favorite here, Dan, or you think these are both garbage?
I hate them both more than I can describe.
Is Montreal Transit overheating? What?
What do you are you interested, Reece? Did that get your attention? Do you want to click that video? Okay, part 3 of renting. Are you guys ready for another ESL spectacular? Leaving the place, ending your relationship with the landlord.
Yeah, you look high, but a different kind of high this time.
I actually think this and the other ones, even though the sentences don't really make sense, just the fact that there's words jumping out at you, leaving the place and this guy with this white border around him, I think it might surprise you how well that can perform.
Our most divisive architecture, the brutalism of Montreal. Montreal's controversial architecture.
I don't like that the shadow on the word Y is getting further and further away. That disturbs me for some reason. I like the arrow from your face to the building. I'm a big fan of arrows. I think in general, that's all I don't even think we need thumbnails. Every video should just have an arrow-shaped image that we click on.
I'm not a fan of this at all. You're taking an okay thumbnail and you're actually downgrading it on one of your best videos. I don't like that the images, I hate that two of them are desaturated and then the center one isn't, and the sort of messiness of the way they're cut out. Like, it's got like your channel image in the top left corner and the crop is like to the left of your face, and then the shadow on the Y, it seems like, again, they didn't never used PowerPoint before, because clearly this was made in PowerPoint. And it's also like, it's got the weird patterning that some of your thumbnails have, but without the charm of the actual unique symbology of Montreal. And the arrow is maybe the defining maybe it is truly the best feature of this thumbnail,
You're really not like letting up. God, my mum made this.
Oh my, that wouldn't surprise me.
I like the thumbnails where there's like one or two things that are bigger instead of like 5 or 6 things that are smaller. If this one, for example, had maybe Olympic Stadium, it's definitely more recognizable than these images. So I think this is like close to a good thumbnail.
The problem with the Olympic Stadium is it's not brutalism, it's structuralism. It's closely related, but it's not the same. Montreal moment, basically before YouTube Shorts existed, I made a 90-second shot. Montreal declared heavy metal city of excellence, ?
Is that even Montreal in the image? I think I see palm trees at the bottom.
Trees.
Jesus Christ. What is Montreal? We got some arrows.
Yes.
I like it too.
Yeah, I like the arrows. I kind of like the abstract nature of what is it was what is Montreal, right? There's something like strange about that video that makes me want to watch it. Does it end on the middle of that highway? Like, why would it possibly end right there? Like, what are you pointing at? With great power comes great responsibility. You use an arrow, you need to know where you're pointing.
This is our most powerful tool, the arrow. It must be drawn correctly.
Don't think I would ever post a video without text on it, maybe that's like my weird quirk, but like, I often don't even read the title to videos because I feel like the thumbnail for videos I watch often describes what the title would describe.
Kind of the amalgamation of the feedback I've gotten from you guys so far. A giant question mark with an arrow and what is Montreal? Angry Albertans talk shit. Is Montreal full of poop emoji?
It's not a bad thumbnail. I have to say, it's not a bad thumbnail. This thumbnail will do better. I'm telling you, this thumbnail will do better than the previous one. It's just... like, do you want this to be your brand? Like, do you want to be known for pipes and poop emojis?
Like it's the CEO in a boardroom, and it's like, click. Does this represent McDonald's?
Putting shit in the title or the thumbnail is probably not ideal.
Standard lazy Q&A video. Got this.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Purgatory, maybe.
Can you go back to the previous one again? Whoa. Okay, that photo looks like it's from the 1800s.
Yeah, it's a problem. I'm not sure that filter helps you, Paige.
Paige, what is it with you in black and white?
It's a half-tone pattern. It's a technique to avoid having to...
It's a technique to avoid getting clicks.
Oh! No, also, like, the gridded pattern on the image is actually giving me a headache the longer I look at it.
Okay, so that's due to halftone. It's actually kind of a problem with it. It's an optical illusion.
It is a problem.
Because it's being compressed, the actual image. I don't use halftone images in the videos for this reason.
Yeah, it's definitely giving me physical discomfort.
Montreal Graffiti. So there's a 3-part series on graffiti. First one, graffiti versus street art in Montreal.
I think it's better. I would fix the typo in graffiti, but other than that...
Fuck. Oh my God. I think I have to fix that one. That's just too stupid. That's too stupid to fly. But I've only got the PNG, so all right.
It's charming. Come on.
This one is my worst performing kind of series, like most effort, worst outcome.
Which is kind of amazing because I thought it was like, this is one of the best.
It's the thumbnails. This one's let down by the thumbnails because each thumbnail is just the same thumbnail with an extra can. I think a lot of people thought they'd already seen it, basically. Can we get rid of graffiti? Yes, this works with Mr. Clean.
I think it's good.
Yeah, it's a good thumbnail.
Why do our banks charge fees?
Maybe trying to be a bit too clever.
Montreal Graffiti, how to get started, legal and illegal.
Yeah, that's a great thumbnail. And I think even the Quebec Libre, that'll get some clicks. I think the legal, illegal is kind of an interesting contrast. I think this will do well.
I made this thumbnail.
Paige's heart just lit up.
This is the video that's got the lowest amount of views for the most amount of work. I thought about it quite a bit to try to turn it around. The worst winter ever, on how to make it through Canadian winters. How I survived depression this winter.
Thumbnail's giving me depression.
I'm not a fan of either of the thumbnails, and I think that's too bad because I thought it was such an insightful video. So it's too bad to know that this video will continue to be a failure.
Why is your condo in danger? This is my most clickbaity thumbnail, I think, on the migration away from downtown. And we got this.
It's another one where the picture of you is just like poising it. I would love if there wasn't so much text on your shirt, right? If it was just a plain white shirt and your hat didn't have text on it and you weren't making that face and the background was maybe not red, then it would be amazing. The text is great. Just everything else about it is not great, in my opinion.
So the issue is me. You just want me to not be in it. You basically were just like, the problem, I just wish that you maybe weren't there. That includes your shirt and your hat and you and your face. All of those things. All right.
Did you spell referendum wrong in this? Does referendum have 2 Fs?
I hope so. It's been this thumbnail forever.
But the title only has 1 F.
You just don't watch it because you're like, this guy doesn't even know how to spell. What does he have to teach me?
I'll have to check. That'd be really funny, though, if it hasn't been picked up at this point. All right, so that's this.
And they spelt it wrong too, of course. Also, your facial expression, just the images these people took out of the videos, I just don't think that they're the right images. You should be smiling because you're excited, but instead you look disgusted.
Well, this guy obviously watched a follow-up video where I found that they were not going to go through the referendum. A thing which shouldn't have even been happening in the first place. Fuck! I don't mind this one, although it's another fucking video that I'm going to have to... I hope it's a PNG so that I can fix a thumbnail. Jesus Christ. All right, the Montreal and Red Death historical protests, and I got this. Montreal anti-vax riots.
Okay, YouTube is definitely going to restrict this video. I think with just having anti-vax in the title, it might not get any views just because of that.
I think the previous one didn't get restricted, but I think they basically kind of discourage you by making you get no traffic. Then you kind of learn the lesson to not say those things.
Which is such a subtle form of censorship. Like, oh, you can post whatever you want, but no one will ever see it.
And we'll never tell you that you did something wrong.
So don't waste your time. How to learn a language. Very northern. Piece of ham.
Yeah, see, I think this is a missed opportunity. The first one is just not explicit enough. And none the way that you would be tempted to be explicit Paige.
It's actually only the tallest with its little spire on top, which to me kind of feels like measuring the length of your penis from the anus.
You need to just say, Duolingo sucks. That could be the title of the video. Honestly, I think you would do so well with a basic thing like that and the stupid bird.
The working title of the video is Duolingo sucks. Often the working title is boiled down to the essence of what it is so that I can remember it when I'm trying to find the folder. Rogers-Shaw merger disaster. How do you feel about circles?
I think it's better with the circle than without it. I think an arrow could still be used, like an arrow from the fighting back to the Rogers. I also think just a very basic thumbnail showing Rogers' logo and Shaw's logo could work.
I would agree. I feel like it's just got too much going on. Just literally show the logos going like that and then you're done. Duolingo
sucks. Rogers sucks. Everything sucks.
Something like that.
Don't miss an opportunity to say something sucks. This is the video I did where I was incredibly angry, ranting about ProRep getting overturned. So that's this.
Again, what is it with hell being the backdrop to everything? And also just the fucking picture of you. Like what? It's just you looking to the ground. There's nothing special here.
I gotta disagree with Reece for once. I'm picking up some clear rage vibes from Paige in this thumbnail.
What if it was him in the premiere and it's 2 boxers and he replaced their heads or something?
Jesus, that's so much work.
Nobody said this job would be easy.
Intoxicanadian. Why can't you buy this beer? What happened to Buck a beer?
Is this a Fiverr?
No, I did this.
Oh God, that's embarrassing.
I'm gonna argue with you, Reece. I think that this is a fucking great thumbnail. I'll defend this thumbnail.
I'm with Paige on this. I like this thumbnail.
Yeah, the Buck a beer thing was a big campaign promise for Ford for a lot of people, and I was like, oh, this would be a good way to just go for Ontarians, you know?
No, that's definitely true.
But I guess we'll see at the end of the month. All right, SVNHL rigged.
Why indeed? Why? I mean, first of all, it's not the Stanley Cup. That is nothing close to the Stanley Cup.
The puck is like out of his reach. He's going to hit a puck that isn't there. The puck is on the other side of his skate.
And even if it was the Stanley Cup, you don't win the Stanley Cup by shooting a hockey puck at it. Like, there's no reason you should be trying to do that motion in the first place.
This guy is like a custom illustration. So it was like, I don't know, it was like $15 or something like that.
See, that feels high risk for something like a thumbnail that's so temperamental.
I don't know. There might be something to be said about the market for graphic design.
It's called Fiverr for a reason, not 15 or not 30 or.
You know, I wanted to like grab some options. So this is what premium ended up being. And it's interesting, quite a lot of the time, the more expensive ones don't necessarily do the job any better.
But you have to imagine like the people doing the cheap ones, it's like their whole game is about quantity. And maybe like through that, they're actually getting like sort of good at knowing what a YouTube thumbnail is. Whereas these people, they're trying to make a masterpiece, but it's clearly not working.
It's a little bit of that. It's not about design. It's not about illustration. It's about good thumbnail. And a good thumbnail could just be one good idea and a thing slapped on an image. Okay. Whose fault is this? The Green Party Civil War?
Wow.
Where did this come from?
I made this.
Possibly the most clickbait of all your thumbnails. Like this one will get attention, but I don't know if it's the attention you want. Like you might get a cease and desist letter from the Green Party for that thumbnail.
Yeah, they are quite litigious at the moment. Why does it cost less to speak in French? This is the one that caused Reece to complain to me about my thumbnails. I got cheap wireless phone lines. This is probably my favorite reduction of what I do to like clickbait. Like of all the, still, I think it was the first one that I got and it made me laugh so hard. Just the idea that the original video was like, oh, here's this dynamic and competition and, you know, Canadians getting screwed by this oligopoly and the introduction of the competition will blah, blah, blah. And for it to be boiled down to cheap wireless phone lines, it's just really, really funny to me. Just being like, shut up, Paige, no one cares. Cheap wireless phones, cheap phones.
It reminds me of Linus Tech Tips.
And your picture is once again letting you down, you know? You know, everything above your shoulders needs to be kind of replaced, I think.
I would say at this point, Reece, that you just don't like my face. Because the chance that just through sheer kind of statistical probability that at this point, these random fucking Pakistani graphic designers haven't just dragged a fucking select over my face in the right kind of like position. That brings us to the end of the thumbnails.
People will be very confused with what's going on.
I don't know how many channels have been like, from day one, literally never changed a thumbnail, and then gone back on the entire back catalog and just randomized all of them. I think it'll be an interesting kind of experiment, you know? I certainly feel worse than I have in quite a while, so, you know, I guess we'll see how this goes. Hopefully, when we're talking in a month's time, we're going to see, you know, this massive uptick. So I could just catapult myself from 3,000 to 4,000 subscribers and become that kind of juggernaut of a channel that I've always aspired to be.
Suddenly, out of nowhere, Dad's videos are being recommended to me, which is scary.
Wait, you mean after doing this podcast?
Do you think they go as deep as like facial recognition on a stream that you're in?
I doubt nothing at this point.
Dan, you're like the legitimately largest YouTuber I've talked to. I remember you showing up on my videos like a while ago and being like, oh my God, he's got more than 20 subscribers. I've made it. And I really appreciated actually that you did kind of like give me a shout out and wrote a comment. It meant a lot when I got it.
Well, yeah, no problem, Paige. I've been a big fan of your channel ever since seeing it for the first time. You know, I'm a YouTuber, but I'm also someone who's moved cities a few times, and it's useful to have online content. Like there's a reason certain videos do very well. There's a reason certain videos get a lot of search traffic. For example, the one you made about being an Anglophone, like that's very valuable content that I think a lot of new Montrealers should watch and should learn from. As for me being a big YouTuber, well,
That looks nice.
yeah,
Precious.
I not much has changed for how I approach this stuff.
When were you at my size?
It took me about a year of actively making videos to get to even 1,000 subscribers. Like at this point, the growth was very, very slow. The first 1,000 are by far the hardest. Like everyone will tell you that. First of all, your videos probably aren't as good as you think they are. Like I know mine weren't at the beginning. So that kind of hurts some people. There's just like niching down and like finding like what your core value to offer people is. That's a journey as well.
Did you start off doing travel?
2013, I finished university. I had an arts degree specializing in creative writing. So I had like 0 job prospects. I was looking at like the death of journalism and just being like, okay, so I guess I'll be unemployed for the rest of my life. That's cool. So I took a job teaching English and I moved to South Korea to be an English teacher. I didn't really document it very well at all, which like the technology wasn't quite there either. Yeah, I fell in love with living in foreign countries and traveling, and I continued to do that. I moved to France the year after that, and I worked as a bartender in France for a little while at some Irish pub. It was mostly like drunk English expats who were hung out there. Eventually quit that job and moved to Vietnam. I wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a travel blogger, but I had no idea how. So I was doing the blog thing for a while, and I had my dedicated few readers, but beyond that, like nobody knew what I was doing. It was like kind of felt like total waste of time sometimes. And I fell into video because, well, number one, it was just a fun way to document travels. Like, what's life like in Vietnam? Okay, I'll just show this meal, or I'll just show this experience of this day. The video quickly got more views than the blog post. I was like, wait, the thing that I put 5% of my energy into is getting like 10x the attention. This is weird. So I was at about 4,000 subscribers when I moved to Mexico City in late 2017. But I was at a weird point in my life when I didn't have a real home in Canada. I'd been traveling for a while, and I didn't think it was going to work out. Like I'd kind of quit blogging. I'd kind of given up on the writing side of it. YouTube was a fun creative outlet, but it wasn't a job, and like didn't look like it ever would be. Then I moved to Mexico City, and my first video there like quickly got 5,000 views, and then 10 and 20, and it now has over 200,000 views. The audience in Mexico like immediately kind of became loyal and stayed that way. Like they really like catapulted my channel to over 50,000 pretty quickly. And I lived in Mexico City for a year and made content there. When I left, it was like a really hard decision because, you know, like I had at that point, like over 50% of my audience, like way over, is either Mexican or like, let's say Americans who want to move to Mexico. Like it's very focused into that niche. And there's a lot of potential there. Like there's people doing that full time, and like some of them are my friends, and, you know, like good on them. They found what works for them. I didn't want to live in Mexico my whole life. I'm a traveler. Like I loved my time there, but eventually I wanted to go home and or go to other places. But by doing that, I had to kind of like end a chapter of my channel and deal with like thousands of comments like, when are you coming back to Mexico? When are you coming back to Mexico? Like, why'd you leave?
What sort of content were you making there for the local audience?
This might sound strange to Canadians because, like, let's say there's a Mexican person who comes to Canada and they're making videos. There's not like a huge number of Canadians. Like, what do they think of our culture? What do they think of Putin? Let's go like watch their videos as they do that. But in some other cultures, there is. For whatever reason, there's like certain countries, I think India is one of them, Mexico is one of them, where there's a lot of people who are interested in the outsider's gaze on their culture. A quick side note, I think that might also be why I'm doing okay as an English Canadian from another province in Quebec.
I mean, Canada would have that, I think, if an American YouTuber came to Canada and made a lot of videos about like what an American thinks of this Canadian thing or that Canadian thing, and exhibited a real authentic kind of interest in Canada, I think Canadians would become like that for them. There's kind of a hierarchical superiority complex thing that countries often have, right? When you're living in New Zealand and if you ever watch the news and someone says New Zealand, you know, you run from the room, gather the rest of the family round, you know, like, oh my God, we're on TV, guys.
I mean, and you could totally do, I don't know if you ever have, just a video that is specifically about that, like differences between Canada and New Zealand, for example. Videos like that, like my most viewed video ever is just called 10 Things You Should Know Before Moving to Canada. That video has well over 1 million views. And like, let's be honest, any Canadian could have made that video. Like one of them is literally, it's cold. I made that video back in like 2016. It's been a while. And it continues to get search traffic because people are always thinking about moving to Canada.
That's a great topic for Canada because, and I've seen this with my own videos, as a country that takes so many immigrants in, there's just so many people who are like, literally, they're like, which country am I going to become a citizen of? You know, where will I go study and try to get the visa? And they spend a lot of time watching videos. So yeah, a lot of comments will be, hi, I live in, you know, Brazil, and your videos have really helped me.
It's not that, it's like, those aren't my favorite videos to make. Like I prefer to do, like, I'm traveling through a city and I'm showing what it's like. And my favorites are something that can break stereotypes about some place. Like, you know, everyone knows a lot about New York City and the big American cities, but Mexico City, we have sort of a backward idea of what life is like there, but the reality is very different. So I tried to show that reality and sort of poke fun at the things that we think that are wrong about Mexican culture. But those like top 10 lists, I think of it as almost like a gateway drug to the other content, if that makes sense. Like you can do a video, it's not your favorite, but it's like if it can get you to everything else and grow your channel.
It's kind of a digestible, right? Like it's very easy when you see a top 10, you're like, this is going to be an easy ride.
There's a YouTuber I really like, Sarah Dici, who has this sort of motto that I thought was really interesting, which is sort of one for me, one for them. And it's sort of this idea that sort of she does one video that she really wants to do and one video that I guess sort of would drive her success forward. And I think it's like a really good model because I know if I make a video about like Shanghai, it's going to be popular. But then like I'd probably much rather like walk around Toronto and be like, what makes the streetcars cool, or, you know, Montreal Metro is so interesting. It's sort of this balance of doing something that you know in your heart is going to be popular and successful, and then sort of, and as Dan says, you know, using that to sort of make it so that you can do more and more of the stuff that you really, you know, find fulfilling.
It's a little bit like clickbait as a video almost. You're like, this is the entry, this is the clickbait video. It's made to get you in the door, and then hopefully you like me, and then you click on view next video. What if it was a piece of ham and it said transit on the ham?
I mean, if you put a bus on it, that would be great, or a train.